Feel Good Breakfast Show.
Welcome back. You're tuning into your Feel Good Breakfast Show. This is Expresso only on SABC3. Thank you for tuning in. Right now, a rather heavy topic of discussion. Depression is never an easy topic to discuss, but when you consider the fact that in the US there are twice as many suicides as there are murders, and with South Africa having the 8th highest suicide rate in the world, chances are someone you know or even love is struggling with depression right now, and you can actually go about and help them. Today marks World Suicide Prevention Day, and with us in studio to discuss the warning signs of depression and suicide, Cape Townian Daryl Brown, who survived after attempting to take his own life 2 years ago. Daryl now works with the SA Depression and Anxiety Group to encourage those considering suicide to think twice before doing so. Daryl, very nice to have you in studio, my man. Thank you for joining us and sharing your story. So 2 years ago, I mentioned that you tried to take your own life in a London tube station by jumping in front of a train. It must have been a very dark place in your life. What led you to that specific point?
Well, I'd been struggling with depression for more than 10 years. Ever since I was a teenager, I really struggled to come to terms with my homosexuality. And over the years after that, I used to take little experiences from everything that I went through, and it just kind of served to reinforce this negative perception that I had of myself. Like, I wasn't funny enough to be a part of this group of friends, or interesting enough to date that person, or smart enough to do so well. And I never spoke to anyone about it. I thought, you know, my friends and family have their own issues to deal with. I don't want to burden them with my depression, something that I didn't think they would be able to help me with. Yeah. And I didn't speak to a therapist either, because I kind of thought, what is a therapist going to be able to say that's going to change what I feel?
When you're in that moment, you know, you're thinking, like, literally, I'm alone.
Exactly.
Nobody can help me.
And so I tried to solve it myself. Over the years, I thought, okay, after I get a job, I'll feel better. After I get involved at church, I'll feel better. And eventually, London was like my last-ditch attempt to kind of cure my depression. And I went over there to study a master's degree, and I wanted to stay on living there. But I faced quite a few setbacks. I didn't do as well at school as I'd hoped. I had my first romantic relationship with a guy, which ended after about 6 months. And I couldn't get sponsored for a work visa. So it just kind of felt, I got to a point where I'd run out of options.
Yeah.
Exactly, yeah. And I just felt like I was going to come back home and move in with my parents again, be a sponge on them for the rest of my life, and I couldn't face any more failures.
And that's when you decided.
Yeah.
Sure, dude, that is serious. But you know what? I'm glad it turned out the way it did, because right now you are a pioneer of hope. You are a motivational speaker. So you're the perfect person to give advice to people going through the same thing. What are some of the warning signs that people can look out for? Because a lot of people tend to think that if you talk about depression and suicide, you know, you're not going to actually go through with it. But 80% of those people actually do show some signs of warning. Yeah,
so if you notice someone who's become very withdrawn, a sudden change in their mood, or they're trying to sort their lives out, you know, saying goodbyes or finishing up their will. I know before my suicide attempt, I told all my friends in London that I was moving back to South Africa, and I wrote them all like goodbye messages, because I didn't want them to feel guilty or anything after my suicide attempt. So if you notice someone who's got sudden mood changes, even someone who's been quiet and depressed, and suddenly their mood brightens and they feel just enthusiastic again, you kind of that's kind of a warning sign that they've made a decision, a resolution to commit suicide, and they feel better because they know this is going to be over soon.
That is very sad. That is very sad. Daryl, thank you. I wish we had so much more time to talk about this, but thank you for being that light and, you know, giving the advice to those maybe going through the same struggles that you have been. Thank you so much. On this World Suicide Prevention Day, I mean, you want to make sure that if you do know someone, or maybe even if yourself, you are going through depression, get help there. There are a lot of help out there. People want to help you. The thing about it, you need to talk and get in touch with the right people. So you can actually call the South African Depression and Anxiety Group. You can do that right now if you are suffering with depression. The number is on screen. I can just run it through 0800 567 567. That's 0800 567 567. Right now it is that time in the morning. Let's quickly catch up with your news headlines.